Hello and welcome to the Film Ireland podcast. I'm Gemma Creagh, and in this episode we'll be looking at a really special event, The Quiet Man to the Quiet Girl, an Irish film music journey which is taking place in Belfast on the 26th of October. Coming up, you'll hear from Film Ireland host Pius Ojo, who'll be chatting with composer Sarah Lynch. But first up, I got to speak with event organiser Tim Burden about the celebration of music and film. So thank you so much for chatting with us, Tim. It's great to have you here.
Hello, Gemma. Good to see you. Thank you.
So I was doing a little bit of Googling about you, and I saw you also do interviews. So
yeah, look, it's unusual for me to be on the other side of this, but it's always a pleasure to talk about film and of course film music. So thanks for chatting.
The event sounds absolutely spectacular. It's The Quiet Man to the Quiet Girl, an Irish film music journey, and it's taking place in Belfast on the 26th of October. And I was just wondering if you could give us a little overview of it.
Sure, yes. Well, it's a concept very much derived from a great idea by Frank Gallagher, who's a legendary musician. He's worked with some of the best in Ireland, all across the country, and also even with Billy Joel and some international legends. And this concept is really a celebration and looking at the history and reminding where things began, back with the Quiet Man, which is very much old school Hollywood Irish, but then going right up now to, say, The Quiet Girl a couple of years ago, which, of course, people are still even being introduced to, which is great. Some people haven't seen it yet, and it's always a film I encourage people to see. So right up to The Quiet Girl, and it's a great transition there. And so in between this kind of timeline, we have some of the legends like, the Chieftains. They actually won an Oscar, along with Leonard Rosenman for Barry Lyndon. Their work on Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, that was during the 70s. And then the 80s, there was this resurgence of certainly orchestral music, but electronics was, swooping in because you had this very effective sound. We had Harry's Game, from Clannad, and then during the 90s, that sound also, we had a bit of Enya, her song Far and Away, Book of Days, and we had Elliot Goldenthal's terrific score for Michael Collins, but then the beautiful voice and sadly missed Sinead O'Connor providing She Moved Through the Fair, the classic traditional Irish favourite, given that, very melancholy vocal touch by Sinead's very unique voice. And I think it's important to say during the event, we're actually going to have a kind of tribute montage to Sinead O'Connor to recognise her contribution to film. Because, she did so many film songs, as you know, like Brian Byrne, Albert Nobbs. She did that wonderful end credits song as She Moved Through the Fair, I talked about, but also like The Waterhorse, that kind of family film from Sony Pictures a while ago. She did a lovely kind of Celtic flavored song along with James Newton Howard. So the night's going to be quite varied, and that's what's interesting, I think, for the audience. This journey they're being taken on is quite diverse because we've also got film songs being sung by Darren Simpson from the Celtic Tenors. And he's going to sing Brown Eyed Girl, Van Morrison's classic, which has been in so many films. And of course, we have to recognise Van Morrison in the night. We'd be rude not to. And then Michelle Baird, she's going to be singing The Isle of Innisfree, which a lot of people will know the song, of course. It has been used in many things, particularly The Quiet Man. And Ruth McGinley, the classical pianist, Ruth is actually going to be performing some music from James Horner, the Oscar-winning Titanic, and also John Williams' Angela's Ashes, Alan Parker's film based, of course, on the Frank McCourt book, which, of course, is a brilliant piece of music. And all of this with the presence of some of today's best composers, being helming from Ireland, Sarah Lynch, Stephen Rennicks, who we know did The Quiet Girl score and did a wonderful award-winning score for Room. As you know, that's a brilliant Irish film. And we also have Mark Gordon, who runs the Score Draw Music. He's done some terrific work with Belfast. He's primarily based in Belfast, but he's done some work internationally. He provided some score for Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water. So this is a very varied event, which is commensurate, really, I suppose, with the variety music for media has to deliver.
And it sounds wonderful. It sounds like people of all ages will enjoy it, that there's a kind of a variety of styles of music, all performed live by brilliant musicians. And you're obviously knowledgeable and such a fan of it yourself as the organizer. Something like this as well is definitely a laborious thing that you have to have passion for. Tell me about why you wanted to organize this.
Well, whenever Frank Gallagher and I were chatting a while ago, it was really a case of wanting to actually make a point of highlighting so many wonderful scores across, the history of cinema, not necessarily, Irish funded cinema, but, cinema that was set in Ireland, as well as TV. I mean, we certainly have, we're going to mention Father Ted and Ballykiss Angel. There's some very lovely musical interludes during those iconic shows, So it was really something we were just, and it's timely. I think it's really timely because of the great Irish film resurgence we were just talking off air a minute ago. There's so many fantastic films being released, Irish-based films, and I think it's great just to take stock and look at where we, come from, where we are now, and certainly we're going to hopefully have an Irish-based composer win an Oscar soon. We hope. There's yet, has not yet been an Irish-born composer winning the original film music Oscar. So who knows? Let's hope it's someone, from our shores soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's overdue. So we kind of have placed for such a tiny country in quite a few fields. So it's nice. It would be nice to have that one kind of check-boxed.
Absolutely, yes.
So tell me a little bit about so this is sitting in as part of Belfast International Arts Festival. That's a kind of a longer festival that takes place, and they have great events every year. Just tell me about how you're going to fit into that program.
Absolutely. Well, Richard Wakely is fantastic, and whenever we think of the International Arts Festival based here in Belfast, one of the wonderful things about it is the diversity and the variety, I think, of events on offer. Now we're doing this event at the Strand Cinema, which is a wonderful Art Deco cinema in East Belfast. Been around since the 1930s, and it's so fitting. And with the Arts Festival, there's so many different events all across Belfast and slightly beyond. Like, we're going to have the likes of Mark Almond. He's going to be performing some of his music. There's the lovely Cara Dillon will be performing at the Grand Opera House as part of the festival. And we also have the Ulster Orchestra, a bit of a tribute to Rachmaninoff, celebrating his legendary birthday. So it's one of these, I suppose, festivals which it delivers so much variety, and to be part of that, I think it's testament to, offering so much to an audience. You can get festival passes, of course, and you can also, there's a lot to see and there's a lot to experience, but there's never, I suppose, you're not left feeling hungry, so to speak.
But there's plenty of creative fuel for the mind there on offer. And with regards to The Quiet Man and Quiet Girl, an Irish film music journey, tell me a little bit about what's your favourite. Like, so we all have our favourite picks. What's the thing that you're looking forward to most on that lineup?
I think, it's going to be lovely having the composers talk about their process. We'll have Sarah Lynch is going to be explaining some of her working process, in her own studio. And then what we'll do is we'll play some of that music, the finished version, as a clip. But then it gives the audience that kind of perspective in how she would approach scoring that scene. So one of the clever things about writing music for media is knowing where to place it. Silence can actually just be as important as actual music, because you don't want to be over egging and kind of completely squashing the audience with too much music. So silence is key, and then explaining to an audience why there's silence, in addition to why she may have taken this approach with music. Similar to Stephen Rennicks. I mean, we're going to look forward to hearing Stephen talk about the way The Quiet Girl was scored, because the beautiful scene at the end of the film, where she's running and embracing, as we know, the only person that seems to care about her. And, you think back to maybe the old Hollywood era, it probably would have been maybe slightly overdone, but Stephen very neatly and carefully underplayed it with beautifully touching strings. And another important point to mention, I haven't mentioned, remiss of me, is Lyndon Campbell, the music supervisor, is flying over from London to be with us. Now, she worked with Carter Burwell on the Banshees of Inisherin, and she's going to explain that process, because Carter Burwell was specifically told by the director, McDonough, that he's not to use any kind of fiddly-dee or Irish-themed music. He has to use, slightly ethereal and perhaps fairy tale music. And that's whenever you listen to Carter Burwell's Banshees of Inisherin, which was Oscar nominated, as you remember, then you do get that kind of otherworldly, wonderful kind of sound, which Lyndon is going to chat to us about on the night. And we'll have, again, a couple of clips on the big Strand cinema screen to describe how Carter and Lyndon delivered that kind of final magical result for that score.
God, it sounds like people in the industry, people with wanting to learn more, and people who just love music will benefit from that. So it's a good kind of audience and place to meet like-minded people. I don't know how you're going to fit it all in. It sounds like
no, I know.
It's very intense.
We are, yeah, because we're going to open, the audience to questions, because I'm sure they'll want to ask questions to the composers there. And Hugh Odling-Smee from the Film Hub NI, which is run by the BFI, is going to be hosting the night for us, which is tremendous. And he has a great authoritative knowledge of Irish cinema and cinema in general. So it's going to be a very conversational evening, but with lots of sound and visual,
Fabulous. And where can people get their tickets?
Well, it's BelfastInternationalArtsFestival.com is the website, and you can also go to strandcinema.com, where there's a link to buy tickets there. So it's it's very reasonably priced, not to sound too kind of shameless and plugging. It's if you're a member of the Film Hub NI, it's only £5. Concessions are £7, and then full price is £10. So it's pretty good value for a couple of hours of your Thursday, the 26th of October evening.
Jeez, that's the really good price. We'll be traveling up. It'll be cheaper than anything further south anyway.
Yeah.
And so you have a clip for us?
I do indeed, Gemma. Yeah. So this clip is a nice little montage of some of the key moments which will be showcased on the night. So I hope you enjoy listening.
Sounds like a wonderful taster. Let's have a listen.
Seems to me little more than a common opportunist. I don't think he loves my mother at all.
I want to sell the field.
Oh, McCabe's field?
He rents it.
Is he young?
No outsider will bid for my field. Is the bull McCabe's field by right? Nobody would bid against the bull. That lovely green grass, and you want to take it away from me, and in the sight of God, I can't let you do that.
You could be inviting a lot of trouble for yourself.
Let's keep relations on a professional basis. How are we professional if we've never been paid?
Won't you cleanse my soul? Get my feet on the ground. Yeah. Hey, yeah. The bed in our house.
I'll work my own land someday.
I'll stab you through.
I'm Joseph Donnelly of the family Donnelly that you pushed off our land.
Not me. Joseph!
You're not in Ireland anymore.
Go back to Titanic?
Pulled every string I could. The book is on the grandest ship in history, and you act as if you're going to your execution.
Oh, forget it, boyo. You'll never get next to the likes of her.
Who'd you write this song for?
She's gone.
She's dead?
No, she's not dead. She's gone.
My father used to play in the orchestra back at home.
You don't want to go for a walk or something, huh?
Once upon a time in the city of Belfast, there lived a boy named Terry.
Do you want to come back to my mum and dad's?
No. Do you want to go back to my mum and dad's?
No. I want to open a record shop.
We had every kind of beautiful record on our shelves.
I'll put that record out. You're pissed. So what? You're making a record. Will you record us too?
I'm not that pissed.
If we don't get a record soon, it'll be too late.
Good buddy from Belfast, where everybody knows you.
Hey, buddy! Your mom's calling you. Yes!
We're looking to cleanse the community a wee bit.
You wouldn't want to be the odd man out in the street.
Touch my family and I'll kill you.
Are we gonna have to leave Belfast?
We'll fight this together.
This is it. This is what?
This is war.
Open up your eyes, then you realize
We're living in a civil war.
What do you want?
I want my family with me.
Brilliant. So thank you so much. It sounds like a really, really amazing lineup. Some of the best, like most historic things music that we've heard over the ages in relation to film. So amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, Gemma, thanks so much for chatting with me, and I hope everyone enjoys the event.
Now we're joined by musician and filmmaker Pius Ojo as he chats with award-winning composer Sarah Lynch.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say it is a pleasure to have Sarah Lynch here, a IFTA award-winning, multi-talented musician. You know what I mean? I want to give you, I want to just let you know that I appreciate you taking this time to be here right now, and it is an honor having you. Today. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's
great to talk to someone. I've just been composing for the last few hours in silence, so it's good to talk.
Oh, really?
To get out of the cave for a little while. Yeah.
Have you been like flat? How long have you been flat out for? If that is the case.
I don't know. I feel with this job it can be feast or famine, and then what seems to happen the last while is that a few things happen at once, and then I could be twiddling my thumbs for a little while. But at the moment, I'm working on the Dry season 2, which is so that's what I'm working on almost exclusively now at the moment. So it's really, really good fun to be back.
Congratulations on
working. I was glad they brought me back. Delighted.
Am I correct? That is what you received an award for at the IFTAs.
Yeah. So I met with just yesterday I met with the director Paddy and I was working with the editor Greta, who's just fantastic. And because a lot of my work is kind of you're on your own a lot when you're working. It's just really nice to meet in person because it's really good to bounce ideas off and discuss the narrative and where we're going to take the next season, what we so it's really good to meet in person. I just think you've missed that, and it's a great way of feeling inspired again as well with ideas, and it's fun as well. Nice to get out of the house.
How does that process happen? Even for the Dry, was it like a moment? Do you get a phone call? Do you get a what's the process of getting that information that you will be a part of a project like that?
Okay, so we'll say like with season 1, how did I get the job? Yeah. Well, actually, that was a pitch. I through my my agent Juliet Martin. She runs Silver String Music. She just called me one day and said that there's a new series, and would I be available to pitch some ideas? So that's how that started, and then it was through that process from there. It's so vague now. but yeah, that really was, it was a pitching situation. It wasn't just a phone call saying, would you do the gig? There was a process involved. Yeah. And look, then I guess that whatever I pitched had resonated with the producers in element. And I suppose that's probably one of the main reasons I got the job. So it was brilliant and so exciting because I absolutely loved the script as well. And I was delighted. I just was dying to dig my teeth into a show like The Dry, you know.
Do you get to read the script before? After?
Yeah, you can read the script. It depends, but most of the time, and it really helps as well. To read the script, they might, sometime you might just get the opening, the first episode, to get a feel for it. But I really think it helps because you get like a really good understanding of the characters, of the tone, and as well as that, it variably depends. They might have started shooting, so sometimes you're only working with script, or sometimes you could be working, maybe if they hadn't found a composer and it was quite late, you could be working with like just rough assemblies. But the last few while, it's been working, reading the script, responding to the script. So because composers are brought on, ideally the earlier, this is an ongoing discussion, like as well with composers, like how early do you want to come on to a job? But for me, I really like to come on as early as possible, whether I'm working whether I'm working full time on the project. You wouldn't want to be working full time from a very early stage, but I think it's really nice to come in early, read the script, have discussions, and some time, because they might take to percolate, to get ideas in your head. And also it helps coming on. This wasn't even your question, but
no, I love this. This is great.
It's nice to come on early because it means that the chance of your music being temped to the edits, there's a big chance that would happen. So that means that the editors are listening to your music, and the producers and the director, and they're getting a feel for it, so that you're not sort of left having to essentially replace temp music. So so that's
would you say when ideas come to you, would you say when you're on set, is it like is there a specific thing you usually hear? Is it more feeling is it from watching a scene happen that you're like, ooh, this is a melody that will come, or that you feel would fit the scene, or what? For you, do you have a specific?
Well, actually, the huge part of this is that it's such a collaborative process between the director and you. So aside from reading the script and having your own interpretation, what you might think the music should be like, a lot of it, the majority, you are having a conversation with the director and asking what they want, and what is their vision for the role of the music. So it's between that, it's between the two, the composer director and I would be listening a lot at the start for any hints, or just trying to get into their headspace a little bit to see where they're coming from musically. And it always helps as well, of course, to have like Spotify, use a little playlist for Spotify just to go through.
Would you create that, or would
I might, we both would sometimes. There's all different ways really, but I think it does help. I'm sure, every composer is different, but for me it does help to sort of, it's good to have a starting point, a talking point for discussion. So even if it's one song or one track, I could listen to it and then figure out, I wonder what it is about that. But they like that you can't assume, obviously directors, it also, they won't have the musical vocabulary, but you don't want them to either. Because really the conversation is about tone, emotion. I don't need to hear what they like in the chord progression, for example, but it's about it's about the feel of the song. Maybe there is an instrumentation that's resonating with the director, maybe there's a tone or a feel or whatever it is, and from there then I can kind of start to carve out something along with my own interpretation, and then we see where we meet in the middle, and then from there, that's kind of the start of the process.
Did you play like an act, like have you acted before? I think I saw that like you like a violinist. Did you play like a violinist in a
I played an inspiring busker.
An inspiring busker.
Oh, that was funny. No, I'm not an actor by any means. And then I think that was for the girl at the end of the garden, a brilliant short by Die House Films, directed by Bonnie Dempsey. And I was doing the score, and it so happened that they were shooting on Dublin 8, and we both lived in Dublin 8 at the time. And there was that little scene, and I just asked Bonnie, can I be the, I don't know who asked who. Maybe she probably asked me would I do it, and I probably said no at the start. And then I thought this would be great crack. So yeah, I played the inspiring busker. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to know, like, have you ever had any aspirations to be like a musician of that kind of in the, how do you say, like a musician, if you know the modern way of
well, I started off as a live performer, so all through my I started learning the violin and piano from a very young age, and I've always been playing actually, and I studied music in college, and I toured with many bands, and I was a session musician as well for a good while. So that's where I suppose it all kind of started as well. So for me, I was getting formal training from a very young age in the academy in the Royal Irish Academy of Music in Dublin. So from about the age of 12, actually for the first few years, when I think about it, my mum would bring me up on the bus to Dublin every Saturday just for violin and piano lessons and orchestra.
Thanks to your mum.
I know, unbelievable. And thank God I got that IFTA. The payoff. She had waited a long time for after that.
Do you still perform around? Do you have time to perform, or is it fully
well, I love performing, and I mean I don't do the rock and roll gigging anymore, at night time, and it's just not really possible. But I have a trio at the moment. We're called the Tiny Quartet, and we do a lot of we started a couple of years ago, and they are out the door gigging, and luckily I can kind of dip in, and because I'm not in Dublin anymore, so it's quite hard to sort of be able to, just especially with a young child, it's hard to be able to have the availability to gig. But I do miss it, and I love performing. So I have that, and then I did the odd gig here and there. Yeah, I mean, I spent most of my 20s gigging, up and down the country and playing, and I sort of, and I did a good bit of arranging and things like that, and it sort of all roads were sort of leading to the film scoring element, especially from loving learning film themes as a kid and soundtracks on the piano and tinkling away, and but anyway, so yeah, to answer your question, I still do a little bit, and I would love to do more, just because I just love meeting the musicians and the social aspect of it, and it's fun, and but of course you can't do everything, so it's kind of it comes and goes, the availability.
The Tiny Quartet, where did you get that name from?
Oh, I know. I mean, it's just stuck now, right? But the Tiny Quartet, I don't know, because we're a trio, but a lot of the time there are 4 of us playing, and then people are wondering if we're just really tiny people or not. So so we're like a Tiny Quartet, but the Tiny Quartet, I have no idea what the name goes, but we don't overthink it. But yeah, it's a great group of musicians. So Donald Gunn plays the guitar, and then Brian Heaney on double bass, and then we have other deaf musicians who cover for me, and we have a singer as well, Niamh Farrell, who actually sings on the Dry. She's the beautiful ethereal vocal in here. So she's also like one of my best friends. I was bridesmaid at her wedding actually. So
really?
So it's great to it's all like a musical family.
You're connected in some way.
Yeah, and it's so small, and with the music community, I think, in Ireland.
That must have been a real cool moment to have her singing on a film that you're working on as well. I know as artists, I can imagine that, it's nice to kind of be able to, if you're able to work with your friends, people that you maybe have similar dreams or similar aspirations, and being able to kind of actually that to happen. That must have been a really cool.
Big time. Yeah, totally. And absolutely. It's really nice. And also, if the better musician, you can it's good to have a shorthand as well, musicians, where and it's you just you don't have to do it, and you understand and you know their capabilities and you know what they can do really well, and that's really and they're also very patient with my sometimes disorganized ways.
So when you have a full kind of orchestra, right? And like for me, being a composer, and having a full band, a full orchestra, and you need to know each and every person's part. Am I correct in saying that? Maybe if I'm wrong. But
because you'd be writing the parts. You'd be doing
So like that takes a lot of a certain level of organization, a certain level of leadership, of like imagination, creativity, handling pressure. Was there a moment where you just like, okay, I'm okay. From gigging and being a live instrumentalist.
I know what you mean. Well, but because I mean, everyone kind of learns music in their own way, and there's no one path. But for me, I was learning a lot of that from the time that I was a teenager, because I was learning. Well, I think it helps as well to. For me, it helped playing in an orchestra. Because from a very young age, you're kind of hearing, you're hearing all the colors of instruments, and so you're getting into your head. And then later, when I was, studying music in Trinity, we would learn about orchestration. So that's when you learn that's where I learned kind of the craft of it.
You had a role to play in Men in Black. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I was performing on that. Just one track. So the orchestrator on Men in Black, he was looking for. I mean, I'm sure there was a few orchestrators, but looking for a sort of gypsy fiddler in a way. And I mean, my background will be in folk music and classical, and but I can't take time. And I said, I mean, I could definitely try my hand at it. And so what I think actually it's only on the end titles, but it's important at the time as well. I wanted to get my IMDb credit, and I didn't mind what the credit was, because you just wanted to get some credits going. But still, it's nice to have it. But I'm playing over. I think it's the end credits. I'm playing a tune. Which was, I think it was like adapted. It was then mixed over an orchestral piece, something like that. So it kind of has this kind of free and floaty piece of music at the end. That's kind of, I get, gypsy-ish style.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask about the Joan Baez documentary.
Yeah, that's just, it's so exciting. It's having its US release. I mean, it just started last week, and that's having its run, and it's going to be on demand, actually, I think, the 1st of November. So that's really good. It's really exciting, and I just love the filmmakers on this film and this intense, beautiful journey.
When was that done?
It's so inspiring. When was it? It was during the pandemic. I mean, the co-directors on it, Karen O'Connor, who actually is a long-time friend of Joan's, she was the one who sort of helped make this whole film happen, because what's in it is, it's such an intimate, I guess, complex memoir of Joan's life, and there really needed to be a lot of trust there. So Karen, I mean, she's known Joan for over 30 years. So it was Karen, and then the other directors were Mabel Boyle, who I'd worked on with before, and Miri Navasky. So what they've achieved, this beautiful film. Yeah, so they started years ago, actually, for them, and maybe 7 years ago, when initially I think Joan had put the idea into kind of to not record, what's the word, her Freddie Well tour. She was like, maybe I'll do a little thing on it, but she wanted the camera around to capture it. And I think the big part of this was what happened was that the directors had been in Joan's house in California, and she handed them over the keys to her storage unit where she had never been, her old family home. And in it, they discovered everything that, like, Joan's parents had documented everything about her life, but she never knew. And so we're talking about like artwork from the time she was 5, journal entries, therapy tapes, and they kept like everything, drawings, and there's so much in this. That this time they didn't know that the parents were keeping all these. She didn't know, and she wasn't around and things. And the thing is that Joan also didn't have final cut on this film, so this was a huge part. There was a huge amount of trust. So she handed the keys over, and then what transpired was, it leads to the fact that Joan kind of Joan realizes something from her past that she wasn't aware of, and so it's quite a deep film. But it's not really like a traditional biopic of an artist. It's more, I guess I would call it like a visual memoir of and it's quite complex, but it's stunning. It's just stunning. And Joan is she speaks with such candor, and she's really not holding back in it. So I started this maybe 2019. I was on and off with this, working with Maeve, specifically the director, working out themes for Joan, because we kind of wanted to capture the light and dark elements of there was a lot of light and dark currents that rise and fall under the surface, like, of her past and her present, and the score is kind of centered around that. So it's quite playful, it's light, but it's also dark. And Joan has a ferocious sense of humor as well, so we didn't want to, that was really important as well. So it's a complex film, but it's really stunning and getting really good reviews in the States. So brilliant, yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
I was a huge fan of Joan Baez growing up, so
really,
I was scared to start, and that I had to just forget about that. I'd never get anything written.
Were you able to? Do you think it was? How was that? Obviously, you said you were working kind of side by side in a way to get the light and the darkness of So how was that working on the actual song and knowing? You said you kind of grew up kind of knowing. So how was that for you?
Yeah, I think I just have to separate it. Like, you think about it is in terms of what is the narrative here, and it's the most important thing was just really to capture that light and dark, but also I didn't have to think about Joan. Of course I was thinking about her, but all throughout, but it just became another, she's the main character. But what was important was really to make sure that I was capturing, I guess, all the complex strands within this film. And also there's a beautiful moment, there's a good few beautiful moments actually in this, but the filmmakers decided to animate her drawings that she made as a child, and this wonderful and a company called Eat the Danger, they brought all her artwork to life. So that was a stunning element of it, because I was kind of scoring to animation there as well, but it really organic, really true to Joan's drawings, and it just kind of lifted, it just added such a beautiful brightness. And so it was really fun as well to score those elements, and while all the time kind of fitting it into a musical thread, because there's a lot going on in the film. So I think the goal as well of the score is sort of have a thematic identity, which you can sort of adapt and change, but there's a familiarity, and I think that all roads kind of led back to Joan and her and Joan, throughout this process. But it was a lot. It was a few years in the making, score wise as well, on and off. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited, and really thrilled.
No, I'm very happy to hear that. That's just amazing to be able to know an artist and be able to work on something that she trusted in her best friend. You said, I think, too. Didn't even have the final say, but just and then to I can only imagine even to do you know if she's watched it? Has she?
Oh, well, she has, of course, because well, she watched it throughout the process as well, and even they went to her house, a few years. I don't know when, but to show her the first cut of the film. And I know that it was emotional for her, but she was really pleased with what she saw and what she heard. And I think that was really there. I imagine they were nervous playing it for her,
Yeah.
as it would be, and but she loved it. But in terms of Joan, yeah, she's watched it, and we even attended the premiere with her in Berlin, which was fantastic. And she was there as well for it. So she's been doing it, like, she's so rock and roll. She's been going to the premieres in New York, and there have been Q&As, and Jane Fonda led the Q&A last week, and so did Lana Del Rey. She's such a huge fan of and a good friend of Joan.
I'm a huge fan of Lana. I won't lie to you, man.
Oh yeah,
my
no, she's
God.
fantastic.
Woo.
So yeah, and Elton John posted about it as well, just saying it was such a wonderful, moving film. So it's great. And I think with Joan as well, a lot of the stuff that's discussed in the film, it's things that her audience wouldn't know about, that she's never spoken about. So I think, it's not like I imagine some people might go and they might think it's like just a concert footage, and it's all bright and entertaining, but it's quite dark. But in Joan's words, she wanted to leave an honest legacy, and she's been famous for 60 years, more even. So there's a lot there.
Yeah.
I don't know how I don't know how Maeve Boyle edited that film down. There's just so much material. Or how the filmmakers decided even to, what stays and what goes, but that's the nature of the beast. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose you probably get to a stage where, I know it's obviously a clutter, and then you obviously have to make some sort of sense of it, but with so much footage.
Yeah. And so much archiving. There's so much archival stuff. Yeah. I couldn't do it.
But I'm sure having a good team as well can really help, having a good team, that good advisory people to help as well.
And they all have their different roles and things.
Yeah.
Like, so they, but it was a big job. But the payoff was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that it's doing well. She seemed like a really, as you said, honest person.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just even wanting not to. I can imagine there were certain things, maybe even in the film, that she's like, ugh. But it's like about being honest rather than just having a film. It's glamorized, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, exactly. And there were things in that film that she's looking back on and watching about, even with her own son, her relationship with her son, and he's, basically saying that she wasn't there for him, and she's watching that, and she wouldn't have seen that, and there were certain things in it that, and also the other thing is that her family aren't here anymore, of her parents and her sisters. So, and there were some areas, but there's some footage where Joan would have been seeing for the first time, like of her sister talking about Joan, and not, it's really it's so deep, but she had this openness to lay it all bare, and I think it's a really important film, especially for women of Joan's age who may not, she's talking about stuff that I know women of Joan's age would find difficult to talk about, or things that might be buried in the past. So on that level, it's such an important film as well.
Yeah. Wow. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
You've had like this journey of where you're at now, which, again, congratulations for your IFTA, and it's just this, and it's like, I can see that you really care about the work you're doing, and I can imagine you have reasons for picking what you want to get involved in.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think the beauty of getting a little bit more experience and more credits under your belt is that you can, well, I'm not saying I get to pick and choose all that much, but I think the doors are opening a little bit more where I can work on, when I read work on work on projects that have really interesting scripts, that have strong characters that I can resonate with, that resonate with me, or that, or, you know, I can feel, or any script that I would feel really connected to, or believe in it, or I love the filmmakers involved. So that's really important as well. It's you know,
yeah,
for my career. Yeah.
Obviously, you're on season 2 of The Dry. Congratulations for that.
Well, I haven't done it yet.
Oh, but you've with
I'm working on it. Yeah. So you don't have to congratulate me out.
Okay.
Soon, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Nah, you're on the. Hey, it's all
we're in the middle of it. Yeah.
Okay, you're in the middle of it, and I see you have an audience there. I also be using an audience. I think that's an audience there. Your interface.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's an audience. Yeah, that's a good one there. What's your maybe one or two or a few of your aspirations?
Well, I think the base is just to continue to be able to work on projects that really have such meaning, weight and depth, and that would be important for me, that I can be involved and work with really talented filmmakers and crew, because it's so important as well, and to just give me opportunities to have to work on that, to build on that as well, you know. And another aspiration would be to play the violin again and properly, and start playing my scales every day.
You haven't been doing that, is it?
I certainly haven't been doing that. Yeah. And you know, and I think an important thing as well is I think a work-life balance is really important for this world, because you have to keep your head screwed on. And I think that is an important thing as well. I'm getting a little bit better at that, because I have to, but to work on that, and yeah, that's it for now. Of course, I'll have loads of aspirations when we finish this podcast. But I mean, just with regard to the work, I think that's it. Just to be given the opportunity to work on projects with good scripts that have meaning and weight, and that and to work with a really good crew.
Yeah.
And people I trust.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for your time.
My pleasure, guys. Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking
Not
time.
at all.
The Quiet Man to the Quiet Girl, an Irish film music journey, takes place in Belfast on the 26th of October, and you can purchase your tickets now on Eventbrite.